Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better. At Aquavita, visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.
If you're a last-minute gift shopper, then Instacart is your holiday rescue app this season. No more tracking packages, no more trips to the post office, and no more Christmas gifts arriving in February. Instead, you can just download Instacart to order gifts like beauty, tech, and gourmet goods from local stores and get them delivered in as fast as 1 hour. Plus, right now, you'll get free delivery on your first 3 orders. This offer is valid for a limited time. $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply. Must be 21 plus to purchase alcohol where available.
Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder and lead investigator of Deep Woods Paranormal, along with my wife, Amanda. We investigate anything paranormal, from ghosts to UFOs, to Bigfoot, to lake monsters, to, you name it. We research it. So, I am the host of this show, along with my wife, Amanda. She does her Wednesday night ghost stories when she can. We have just been swamped. We are so busy setting up the business and stuff like that. If you don't know, Deep Woods Paranormal, Deep Woods Productions, as you can see up in the top corner here, if you're watching this video, is our new company. We produce our own YouTube shows or TikTok shows, and other content, podcasts like you're listening to now or watching. And then we do other stuff too. We produce other things. We're working with other producers on different projects, and we're going to be setting up quite a few paranormal events at different haunted locations here, probably coming up next year. We're going to be setting up the old jail. If you haven't seen that, our website is still having issues with the domain name. Our main domain is www.deepwoodsparanormal.com. But unfortunately, the only one that seems to work with that site is deepwoodspara.com. So if you're looking for a website, deepwoodspara.com. I'm going to switch it on everything for right now. All of our social links and everything on this channel. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on any podcast, I'll be changing it to deepwoodspara.com. Easier to type anyways. So So this is getting out just a little late, and I wanted to go back and do this one because it's important. Amanda and I, every Halloween, at least, a day or two, if it's on a weekend, we definitely go places. If it's on a weekday, we either go the weekend before or the weekend after to a said-to-be haunted place, and we usually stay the night in a hotel, bed and breakfast, you name it, wherever. We try and stay either close to it or stay there and then go investigate throughout the night. So let's just kind of go through some places that I really, really like. This is not all of them. God, we've been to thousands of places, so it's hard to say where all our favorite places are. Also, we help people. We help people with paranormal problems, and so sometimes that happens on Halloween night sometimes too. We've been in the homes where we've investigated, and we can't release any of that information because it's all private. We don't want our clientele, their information getting out and them being ridiculed or anything. So, anywho, all right. So, places that we've stayed that were probably some of my favorites. I'm actually going to go in an order here. Let me do this. Let me share my screen with you guys. If you're not watching the show, you can always go over to our Deep Woods Paranormal channel over here on YouTube. We're also on Rumble. This will also be on Rumble. So if you don't like YouTube, we'll be on Rumble. We're going to probably get onto some new platforms here soon just a lot of stuff going on, which is all good for you guys. A lot of stuff going on in the background. And that's why we haven't been on here. Between Amanda and I, with everything going on in the world, we've been doing stuff around the house, trying to get stuff done around the house, getting organized, because the gear now is basically taking up the whole closet. And we're going to be starting to sell some gear here soon. That'll be on our website too. You'll be able to buy paranormal gear, paranormal apparel, like t-shirts, hats, and all that stuff. And we'll be probably partnering with other companies to show off their goods and stuff like that. So yeah, just a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, we're working with other producers to produce cool little thises and that's, documentaries or whatever paranormally. We're also working outside the paranormal on other projects, but I'm not going to get into that on this podcast. Anyway, so let's start with the places that we really like. I'm going to close this real quick because I don't need that open. All right, let's start with one of my favorites. It's got to be the Queen Mary. I don't know how many times when we lived in California we stayed on the Queen Mary, either by ourselves with the man and I, or with our paranormal team, the California Ghost Hunters, or with just a bunch of other enthusiasts. We've been going there since 2005, and just investigating. When we first started on this ship, you could basically go anywhere, do anything you wanted. They wouldn't bother you. They didn't care if you were ghost hunting or just kind of exploring. In fact, a lot of the times they would give us little tours. Hey, have you seen this area? You got to come in here. It's really haunted in here. So, yeah, I mean, let me just start with some of the things. Well, we investigated with Erica Frost one night. We've investigated that whole ship multiple times. We've been in every part of that ship, engine room, the bow, stern. We've been all over that ship, in many rooms. So let me start with some just Queen Mary stories, and then we'll move on to the next place. So one night, I'm pretty sure this was Halloween night, or it might have been the next morning. Amanda and I, we had 2 queen-size beds. We had about 8 people in the room with us. We took one of the beds. A couple other people took the other bed, and a lot of people just slept on the floor. We were in the presidential room, I think. It was huge. It was a very large room, a very large estate room, and other people that were sensitive or psychic or whatever would come in and kind of told us, yeah, this room's haunted. This is a good place to stay. So we set up some gear. We left it running while we were gone for about 3 or 4 hours while we went and explored the ship. And so that night, I think we saw a couple of shadows. We heard some things. We definitely went into room B340. And what people don't realize is room B340 has been cut in half. The stories I've been told, and I got to be careful about what I say, especially because I don't want YouTube cutting me off or whatever, but some bad things happened. Let's just say it this way. Some bad things happened in that room. Some people lost their lives, and not for the right purposes. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to say the M word, but that's pretty much what happened. So that room is reported that like the sheets come off the bed, things fly across the room when nobody's in there. They hear footsteps, they hear talking, all kinds of crazy stuff. So we were in there for we had about 10 people with us. We had about 8 people on one side of the room, and then I had my friend Marianne and I were on the other side. We were standing there, and this is back when I was in the California Ghost Hunters, and we're just waiting for something to happen. I don't know how long our EVP session went on for. We didn't have, they didn't have all the spirit box and stuff like that. I think we may have had an ovulus. I'm not sure if we had one by that point, but we had a lot of gear. Mainly we had, no, we didn't have a lot of gear. We had an audio recorder. We had, I don't know if we had a K2 or not, but that's where I got my first K2 is from Chris Fleming on the Queen Mary when we met Jason and Grant and all that stuff. Anyways, so we We essentially were in that room forever. It seemed like doing EVP sessions, had no K2 hits, nothing happening. And then everybody's like, I think we were in there for an hour and a half. And everybody's like, okay, Matt, we need to move on. We need to go somewhere else, blah, 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 blah. And I said, hold on a second. And I looked at Marianne. I'm like, are you, do you feel like a thick, heavy presence in here? On our side of the room. Everybody was on the other side except for her. And she's like, yeah, I kind of feel that. And so she and I sat there for, God, I don't know, a minute or two. And we're like, guys, the atmosphere is changing. Something's going to happen. And we waited about another 5 or 10 minutes, and they finally, said, hey, we have other places we got to get to. So we left, and we were walking down the B deck towards the bow, and I got about, I don't know, 100 feet down the hallway, and I think I had like a digital camera. I think I had a 5 gigabyte digital camera. And back then, this is back in the early 90s, I'm sorry, this is 1995. Late, probably, this is actually like 1980, 1998, excuse me. Can't talk today. So this is probably back around the late 1990s. And, the technology back then was not as nearly as good as it is now. Cameras were huge. You had the VHS cameras still and all that stuff. They were just coming out with digital cameras and digital video recorders, but they were astronomically priced, $5,000-$6,000, whatever they were. Anyways, so we walk out of the room, we start walking down the B deck towards the bow, and I turn around, and you kind of see back this way. B deck would be all the way behind us, and I started taking pictures. I think I took 10 of them, and I went through, and it's a little tiny camera. It's got like a 1/2-inch screen on the back, and you can't really see what was back there. So I didn't know until I got home the next morning, and I started going through the photos. We got an apparition. We got a full body apparition standing up in the hallway, right by room B340, and I'm getting the chills as I talk to you about this. Ooh, very, very cold behind me. Feels good, but it's still giving me the chills. Anyways, so yeah, that was one experience. We think we experienced John down in, and I'm sorry I don't have these photos. My computer back in the mid 2000s was 2010, 2011 was completely wiped. And I don't want to get into that because I don't want to have it happen again. I posted something on Facebook and YouTube. Both accounts were immediately closed. And then my computer, about an hour or two later, was completely wiped, and I couldn't even get my computer back on. I turned it, when I finally did get back on, there was nothing. They basically had wiped all the programs, everything off my computer. So I could, I'd basically restart my computer, and then the hard drive crashed. So I'm pretty sure somebody did something to my computer. Years and years and years of evidence collected, gone. And I had it on an external hard drive. The crazy thing is, if you're thinking, okay, hey, your computer just crashed. No, it wiped the external hard drive first, then it wiped my computer. And like I said, I had, God, 10 gigabytes worth of video, audio clips and pictures and all this stuff. I had so many full pictures of full body apparitions, all gone. Anyways, so as we're walking around, we're walking down into the engine room. I look over, and they had set up for Halloween. And so I thought that they had props out everywhere. So I took a picture, and in an area that kind of was squared off, if you will. Doesn't look the same now, unfortunately. They've completely gutted that whole area. But when I walked by there, I just kind of felt like I needed to take a picture. So I took a couple of pictures. And when I got home, I realized I thought it was a prop, to be honest with you. There was a prop, looked like a prop hanging from the ceiling. And it was like a head and shoulders and half an arm on the left and a full arm on the right, and like a mid torso cut off below the, above the waist. And so I'm like, oh, that's a cool thing. I don't remember seeing that. So I started zooming in and I realized, holy crap, I can see the wall behind it. I was like, damn, okay, well, that's cool. So yeah, we caught a lot of evidence down there, a lot of EVPs, a lot of help meets. We were up in the front with Erica Frost, and I was about to go down to where the German soldiers were held. And unfortunately, what happened was somebody had a walkthrough. And you're asking what's a walkthrough? Essentially, that's when a spirit or something else basically goes through your body. And as it goes through your body, it essentially makes you sick, nauseous, headache. You feel like you're going to throw up. You feel drained. They steal your energy and they leave their whatever their emotions were, they leave that on you. And so essentially, we had to take her back to the room, and that basically ended her night. But that wasn't her fault. It was just something was following us around that just wanted to mess with us. There is one, at least one entity on the Queen Mary, or there was, that doesn't like people very much and just likes to mess with people. So yeah, we spent a lot of time on the Queen Mary. Okay, so I can't stay forever on this. All right, let's move on to the next one. The Whaley House down in San Diego, California. The Queen Mary, if you're asking where the Queen Mary is, it's in the Long Beach Harbor in California. You can go spend the night on it. They've really limited what you can go into and stuff like that. They want you to pay for the ghost tours. So they don't want anybody ghost hunting on the ship or anything like that. And that kind of goes with the Whaley House too. When I first started going to the Whaley House with Amanda and a few other people, you could walk around anywhere. You could do EVP sessions. You could take pictures. You could video what you were doing and stuff like that. And then unfortunately, the Whaley House now, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you collecting any evidence. They think that any picture or video or audio you get is theirs. So, anyways, they're very strict. But when I first started going there, we would walk around. I think I came across an entity named Jim, and if you went up the stairs, kind of turned around, went back the other way to the first bedroom on the right, there supposedly was where Jim hung out. Let me tell you Jim's story. Okay, so the Whaley House used to be a courthouse and a residence, and they would actually hang people sometimes in the house and sometimes outside of the house. But Jim was convicted of a crime. I don't remember what exactly it was. You can do your own research and your own history if you're interested in this. But he was hung, and they took him out, and he was a little taller than most people back in those days. And so when they basically, pushed him off whatever he was standing on, or if he was I don't know if he was on a horse or whatever, his feet could almost touch. So as he's sitting there being strangled, he could basically push down a little tiny bit and get some air. And so supposedly it took him like an hour and a half to die. And they just left him there. They just left him to hang. And, so now he's kind of a vengeful spirit. He really doesn't like people that much. Here's the Whaleys. Probably, this is probably reenactment. This is the courthouse. This is the house. This is the original. This is what the Whaleys look like. Let me see if I can see some more pictures of them. This is what the outside of the house would. This is what would have looked like back in the day. Here's the full house, and they've restored the house to the original settings. But upstairs here are the bedrooms, and you can go up there and look around and stuff like that. I'm not sure how much the tours are now. I don't think they let anybody in without a tour. But yeah, so I was upstairs, and Jim essentially grabbed my back and essentially jumped on my back. I came walking down the stairs. I'm like, there's something like on my back. And one of my friends who was a medium immediately saw him and told him to get the hell off me, which was awesome. And so yeah, he was trying to drain my energy And I had a little bit of a headache after that. I was a little nauseous for a little while, but he was not very happy that I was in his territory. I took a picture one time in the kids' room, and it looks like there's a little baby sitting on the floor playing with toys. So, and then we were upstairs in this is, I don't know, this is like a media room now in the front up here. Um, Upstairs, and we were doing an EVP session. We got an EVP. I don't even remember what it was now. It was a male voice, and we made the mistake of actually showing it to the people that were there, and they're like, "Oh, you got to delete that." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Nope, we're out of here." So yeah, they never figured out who we were, so we never got in trouble. But that's the Whaley House. It's said to be very haunted. If you want to go take a tour there, I'd recommend it on Halloween night. It's pretty cool. There's a graveyard up the street, and then a lot of places down here are also very haunted in downtown. I'm sorry, Old Town, San Diego. All right, let's go to the next one. The Hotel del Coronado. This is probably one of my favorites. We didn't have a lot of activity, but Amanda and I really enjoyed this hotel. Let me go down here. We stayed in Kate Morgan's room where she stayed the night before she killed herself out on the steps leading out to the beach. We had heard a lot of stuff about her and that she was very active sometimes. So we had cameras up everywhere. I think if you look back on our Facebook page, you can find old pictures from that investigation. And so essentially, we had cameras up, had audio going, and we basically left to let it settle. We do what's called settling, which means basically letting things sit until for a little while, just to see if we can get anything like footsteps or maybe something moves or who knows, anything we can't explain away. We just basically a way to document them. So essentially, we stayed in her room. We went and had a nice dinner, came back. Nothing had really changed around the room. We were extremely lucky to get this room. We called and we're like, "Is Kate's room available?" And this guy just kind of laughed. He's like, "Wow, this is great timing." The people that had booked this room just called and canceled. So yeah, they gave us the room actually for a discounted rate, which was really cool because they needed to fill the room for the night. And so essentially, Kate Morgan's story is that she was, I don't know if she was a runaway, she had run away from her husband or something, or was looking for her husband, but she came and stayed one night at the hotel, went down to the steps leading out to the beach, and shot herself, killed herself on the steps, because she was just so upset about something. We don't really know what her full story is. Nobody really does. There's a lot of rumors about her, but so we were sleeping, and a couple hours after we went to sleep, we actually did have one experience, only one. There was a loud bang that came from the bathroom. And the funny part about it is, we got up and we went and looked, and all the cameras, we had 3 or 4 cameras running in that small little room watching us sleep, which is always fun. Anyways, none of the cameras, none of the audio picked this noise up. It sounded like something slid across the sink, like something was trying to get us to pay attention to it. If we had been a little bit more awake, we probably would have got up and taken a look. All right, Black Star Canyon. This is out in the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County. This is actually my friend's site, OCGL, Orange County Ghosts and Legends. My friend Chris now runs tours out at Black Star Canyon. If you're interested, he also does San Juan Capistrano, I believe. You'll have to look up here and find out if he still doesn't. But Black Star Canyon, this is a cool logo. I really like this. There was an old dead tree that was out there forever, and I just talked to Chris like a year ago, and he said it was gone. The last fire took it out, unfortunately. But this thing looked like it was out of the movie Poltergeist, where the tree reaches in and grabs a kid and tries to eat him. Yeah, I called it the Poltergeist tree for a reason. Black Star Canyon is known to be haunted. If you come down here, Chris has put a lot of information in here, but it's said to be haunted. It's also said to, anything can happen at Black Star Canyon. You have ghosts, you have UFO sightings, you have crypto creature sightings, you have the military doing drills out there. There's just a lot of stuff involved with Black Star Canyon. Let me just talk about one story from Black Star Canyon. You've probably heard it before if you've heard my Bigfoot stories. Of course, it was haunted. I'd seen numerous apparitions out there. The lady in white, who I now know who she is. So the lady in white, lots of shadow activity, always shadows darting around out there for some reason.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
There's a lot of people that have lost their lives in the canyon. And then also you have Santiago Canyon Parkway, or whatever it's called, the road that's just outside, where multiple bikers have lost their lives. And I think on my Facebook page, you can go through and see there's I got a picture. Looks like a biker. He looks like he has these, like, the avatar glasses on, or aviator glasses, excuse me, on. He's got a goatee, not a beard, but a goatee. And then he's got like similar to me, button down shirt, but he's got his first button open. You kind of see a little bit of the hair. He's just a misty form. He's just like a white, milky form. And I think he was in the process of forming when I took a picture of him. He seems to haunt right as you go through the gate. We've had you could hear somebody walking through the gravelly sand there. And we're looking at each other like, wait, nobody's moving. Who's walking? Anyways, so yeah, I had my very first Bigfoot sighting there, and after that I had another dozen probably, but I don't want to go into that. You can listen back to the Bigfoot only, or even back into earlier podcasts to hear about that. So Halloween night, I used to do ghost tours up there. And like I said, my friend Chris took it over for me right before we moved. I just couldn't do it anymore. I had too much stuff going on. A lot of stuff was going on in my life. I had to stop doing what I was doing and start paying more attention to my own life, because I basically was a slave to the paranormal, if you will. Anyways, so I had a group of about 30 people, and they were kind of horseshoed behind my car. This is the biggest tour I ever took at Black Star Canyon. And on the left side, there's a barbed wire fence. Of course, on the right side, there's a barbed wire fence. It's a fire access road, essentially, that's been shut down, but you can't drive on it, but you can hike on it. You can walk up through the Cleveland National Forest and all this other stuff. It's a cool location. So as I'm talking to them, I used to give a spiel, my safety spiel and what to expect and all this other stuff. And one of the girls that's standing kind of on the berm on the left side of the car, facing the barbed wire fence, and there's brush. There's brush and trees and all kinds of stuff over there. She goes, well, something just threw a rock at us. I'm like, what are you talking about? A rock? I'm like, okay, if it happens again, let me know. Well, she said, no, another rock just got thrown at us. So I'm thinking, okay, teenagers. I was not a believer in Bigfoot at this point. I'm thinking the teenagers are up there just messing with people, trying to scare people, especially on Halloween night. So I take, I think, 6 or 8 of the biggest guys. I'm like, come on, guys, let's go over there. We're going to teach these guys a lesson. We're going to yell at them. We weren't going to do anything to harm them or anything, but we're like, they were on private property. And so I go over there and I had a little miner's light on my hat. And I started literally from the left and got about 45 degrees to the right. And I kid you not, there's this huge, massive, silvery gray haired thing standing there. And it's got to be at least, it had to be more than double my height. And if you put 3 or 4 of me together, no, it was bigger than that, 5 or 6 of me together. I mean, it was probably at least 6 feet wide. We estimated it between 13 and 15 feet tall. And it was just standing there in the clearing. We could, we're like, what the hell? After I picked up my jaw off the ground, somebody finally said, hey, Matt, because I carried a little kit with me, do you have any kind of camera or anything? So I ran and got a Coolpix, and of course, a little Coolpix didn't get a good picture of it. It was very, very, wasn't dark, it was dusk. So it was in between, it was right as the sun was going down. The sun had just kind of cleared the mountains on the other side of us. And so everything was kind of silhouetted. You could still see. It wasn't dark, it wasn't light, but you could clearly see. But the camera just didn't pick it up. The settings probably weren't right on the camera. I didn't have time to switch everything around to get it to the right settings. And so I snapped up a picture. So as I took a picture of this thing like squinted and shook its head and grunted at us. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that thing's going to come over here and rip us, into shreds. And it didn't. It just kind of stood there. I think it was just trying to act like we didn't see it. And so I looked at the picture and it was just black. I'm like, crap, let me try and take another picture. I was spotlighting it with my actual miner's light, but it was about 30 feet away. And so I took a picture of it again, and it just, oh boy, it shook its head and growled. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm an idiot. I'm asking for it. So anyways, we went back to just having a staring contest. And this must have gone on for like a minute or two. It seemed like it went on for an hour, but time seemed to have stood still. And as we're standing there looking at this thing, I say out loud, doesn't know we can see it. And it finally just steps off and then walks over behind. And you couldn't feel it move. You couldn't hear it. We couldn't feel the footsteps at this point in time. It walks over behind a tree, probably about 12-foot tall tree. And it wasn't very wide. It was a young tree. The top of the head is, the head. Basically, you can see the eyes and the head above the tree. And it was like, okay, we can still see you. And it wrapped its hands around this tree. And the trunk must have been about 6 or 8 inches wide. And it looked like a toothpick. Standing, this tree looked like a toothpick with this thing standing behind it. It was sticking out on both sides, really far. So after, it growled at us again and then stomps off after that. It just let go of the tree and walked off. Boom, boom, boom. And as it walked off, it vibrated the ground. We could feel the ground vibrate under our feet. And, it went in behind some other trees, and you could hear it just like a commotion going on, like something was having a tantrum. But yeah, that was crazy. All right, let's move on because I'm going to be on this forever. Okay. San Juan Capistrano. I've investigated the Adobe, the Montez Adobe, and the Mission San Juan Capistrano unofficially. Been in there and done some EVP work. I think I had a priest that came through and said something. I can't remember what he said, but he responded to whatever I said. The Montes Adobe, we would knock on the door at night. It was locked. Put the K2s up against there, and we'd have a full-on conversation. I think it was Mrs. Montez. She would come out, and sometimes if the music was going on, we asked, "Are you out here dancing?" And we would dance with her, and the K2s would just freak out. It was so cool. We didn't have a spirit box at that point in time. I didn't like the spirit box back then. I thought they were honestly a piece of junk. Now I realize, okay, they're not so bad if you put an actual good speaker with them. But yeah, we spent a lot of time down here on Halloween nights, looking around, communicating with whoever, walking up Los Rios Street, going over to the historical homes. And one of the things that happened to me, and I don't think I've ever talked about this, we were looking in the house and we literally I don't know if anybody else saw it, the shadowy figure run out, and you could hear it run out, and there was a table in the area you could see through the windows, and it hit the chair. The chair literally leaned up and hit the table, and then bounced back, and this thing ran back down the hallway. I'm like, and everybody heard it, but I think I was the only one who saw it. And I'm like, did you guys see that? And they're like, what was that? What was that? And that was crazy. We had a lot of experiences down in San Juan Capistrano. It's a great place if you have a K2 or just an audio clip. We got a lot of EVPs down off of Los Rios Street. So, all right, let's move on because we're running out of time. Okay. Star of India, one of my favorite places. This is one of the oldest sailing ships in the world. It was commissioned in 1863. So that just tells you how old it was. Essentially, we got to basically investigate this whole ship. If you've ever seen the Ghost Hunters episode where they're on the Star of India and Jason's downstairs in the officer's quarters and Grant's up by the mast. Sorry, not the mast. He's up by the steering wheel. And they're talking to each other, and as Jason essentially is down there, he feels like somebody like walk by him. And what was cool is we were there a week before they were. In fact, there was already producers and stuff there when we investigated the night of. They were over at the other hotel. They weren't actually physically at the location, but there was some dark vans parked out there, so I'm pretty sure that was the ghost hunting team. Anyways, so yeah, we were. One of the things that happened was I was on the third deck down, and up by where the chain for the anchor used to come out. And we were walking around. There's a table there you can sit and whatever and chill and do EVP sessions and whatever else. So I decided to get up and walk over there. I had my handy cam in my hand. I had our light on. I thought I could see clearly to the end of the ship, the bow of the ship. But as I'm walking by there, I have my audio recorder on. I see a shadow come from where the chain anchor is, run across, and then go up to the front of the ship. And of course, I gave chase. And as I'm giving chase, I got an audio clip of "Watch Out." And I didn't know the story of what happened to this gentleman until I talked to the owners or the people that run it a couple of days later, and they were like, "Oh, well, there was a guy that was down in the anchor room. In the chain anchor room, because they used to store the chains down in a big room. They would come through the hole down into this big storage area, and he caught his foot or something caught in there, and he got sucked up as the anchor went out. He got sucked through the hole in the floor, and it's about the size of a porthole. Cut him in half, and that's exactly where I got the EVP. What's funny is Jason and Grant were down there also, and they also had that same exact experience. They had the same exact experience, two of the same exact experiences I did, so that was really cool that validated. But Star of India is a really cool ship, very haunted. They have other ships down there. If you want to talk to my friend Chris at OCGL, Go Orange County Ghosts and Legends. I'm sure he can set up a tour or a ghost hunt on those ships for you. Really cool location and stuff like that. So let's move on. This is the Pasadena Suicide Bridge. You've probably seen it in shows and movies and stuff like that. A lot of the times they take this railing, they'll remove it. This is because back in first off, this at its highest point is like 50, 60 feet high. It's a far drop. It's really high. It's scary crap. It's scary as hell looking over the edge if you're afraid of heights. Anywho, so back in the 19 whatever it was, when the Great Depression was going on, multiple people, they say at least a couple hundred people, I'm pretty sure it was way more than that, jumped to their deaths because they didn't have any reason to live for some reason. And they just felt like death was better than what they were experiencing, so they jumped to their death. Me personally, I believe suicide just locks you into wherever you're at. It basically puts you in hell on earth. You can't cross over. You're stuck here, and you're reliving whatever horror that you put yourself through to die. So essentially, we used to take a tour, and we would walk across this way and then walk back up the other side, and then we come down here into this wooded area down here. And there's some government facilities down here. And what's funny is we always used to see shadows darting around down there, and it wasn't a person. You could tell the difference between a shadow and a person. And we get a lot of K2 hits up here. A lot of up top is kind of what they call residual, just meaning it's kind of like a rerun in history. No matter what, it's going to happen. It's going to replay. Also, if you're on the bridge, know that there's a lot of EMF up here, and you can get a lot of false positives on your K2s. So we were giving a tour. I had a couple of friends with mine coming with me because I had a bigger group. I think I had 18 people or something like that, which is way more than I normally took on that bridge, mainly because I needed to visually keep an eye on everyone, because people have been just walking along here, dropped their stuff, and just jumped. And they were happy as can be and stuff like that. So they think that essentially what happened was people were manipulated by the ghosts. And I believe that could be true. So we were walking back down the other side, and we did a count before. I counted 18 people, and I had a list of names. I checked everybody off, and there wasn't missing anybody. So we walked down to the bridge, walked across, walked back over here, and all of a sudden I see a person with a backpack climb up over this railing and jump. I started climbing up over the railing to look down to see what the hell was going on, and there was no body at the bottom. And everybody's like grabbing me, pulling me down. What are you doing? Don't do that. I'm like, no, somebody just jumped. And we're all looking over the edge. We're like, there's nobody down there. But I saw somebody jump. So we went through and we checked everybody's names off again. Nobody was missing, but we only had 17. So whatever it was walked with us from one side of the bridge up, down, back around, and then ran ahead of us and jumped to possibly make somebody else jump. So, and then also another thing that happened down here is we heard god awful scream, and it sounded like a woman being murdered. Down here also in the brush, in the trees and stuff, there's walking paths. You can't really go down there anymore. I think it's no trespassing anymore, but they have a fence up and stuff underneath the bridge, so you can't get down into the areas, the hiking areas, during the nighttime. Anywho, we used to go down there and do EVP sessions because that would seem like the area seemed to be more active. And we got multiple EVPs down there. We had like the branches being snapped off a tree, and just a crazy place. Really sad, to be honest with you. You always had an overwhelming sad feeling when you went to this place. You just felt for the people that took their own lives and stuff like that. So let's move on. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube for that. If I keep talking about, those things, YouTube will may put a strike against me or something. So, anyways, the Woodbine Hotel. It doesn't show that this is Woodbine up here, but this place, I mean, this place takes the cake. This is probably one of the most haunted places I've ever been. And I've been to a lot of places. I've probably been through 4,000 or 5,000 places investigating the paranormal, ghosts, and doing ghost hunting. So essentially, it's a beautiful old hotel. I think it has either 16 or 17 rooms, or maybe it has 21. I can't remember. But there seems to be 8 intelligent entities here. We were sitting down in the dining room and we did a spirit box session because the audio recorder kept turning off. I'm like, screw it. Okay. Something kept messing with our gear, turning off our audio recorders, turning off our handy cams, draining the batteries, get up, put a new one in, come back down, come sit back down. And all of a sudden I see the camera go off again. And we had the K2s out on the table and I said, hey, did you do that? And it lit up for yes. And then you heard a little creepy little girl's laugh come through the spirit box. Hey, crazy. Just a crazy place. We got what, 2 pictures of something on FLIR, on our thermal. I mean, we had numerous personal experiences. We had about, like I said, about 8 entities come through and actually give us their names and stuff like that. And we were actually able to identify some of them, which was cool. So the more we investigated, the crazier things got. We went on forever. While we were downstairs investigating, there was a newlywed couple that were upstairs. They were just looking for a place to stay, a fun place to stay on Halloween night because they just gotten married or whatever. And I don't think they stayed the whole night. They stayed up in what I believe was the daughter's room of the owner. Both the owner and the daughter died while they owned the hotel. But so they come running down. They're like, did you just jiggle our door handle and tell us, let me in? And we're like, no, we didn't do that. And so their story was they came down. They're like, okay, well, somebody came and jiggled the handle and knocked on the door and said, let me in. And it was a little girl. Sounded like a little girl. And so they essentially got up and locked the door, which I don't blame them. I mean, they were scared. They didn't know what was going on. I probably would have too if I was in their position. So when they locked the door, this thing started really banging on the door. We didn't hear it from down below, but it started really banging on the door and essentially got to the point where they told it to go away. And so they heard it. I think they said they heard it stomp off. But, I woke up one night. We got 2 opportunities to investigate that hotel on 2 different Halloweens. And essentially, the last time I stayed there, we came across a little kid called Danny. He was very playful. He was in the bar area. And he came through the spirit box quite often, to be honest with you. But I was upstairs. We were trying to get some sleep because it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We had to go back in the morning. This is out in Madisonville, Texas, by the way. If you're looking for the Woodbine Hotel, it's under different management now. Unfortunately, different ownership. I have not gone and contacted the owners. We need to go back there one of these days. But anyways, so yeah, we were sleeping. And around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I awakened to what smelled like sugar cookies being baked. And it smelled really good. Now, granted, there's nobody in the kitchen. There's nobody there except for us. We were the only 2 there. And just, yeah, insane. But we had a lot of experiences. If you want to, know more about this place, you can go onto our Deep Woods Paranormal YouTube channel and look back for the Woodbine. There's a couple of them in there. You can hear all experiences. Avery had a crazy experience there and stuff like that. So this is getting a little long. Let me go back to the normal thing. I apologize for the dogs barking. I don't know what happened outside, but they reacted to something. I'll probably try and edit that out. And if it's still in there, I apologize if you're watching or listening to this. Normally, they're pretty good when I'm doing my podcast. They're usually pretty quiet. So, anyways, you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you on Friday for the Bigfoot only Oh, no, wait. I won't even be here on Friday. Okay, so that may come out on Thursday night. The Deep Woods Bigfoot podcast may come out on Friday night. The reason for that is I'm going to be at the Old Park Hotel on Friday night, investigating with a group of new friends. We're going to go out there, and you'll be able to see that show, and I'll probably talk about it on another podcast. And then also we'll be releasing next week. We'll be releasing more of the OP Pilehouse interviews that we did with other ghost hunters. All right, you guys stay safe. You have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.